So this morning we are wrapping up our month-long celebration of friendships and planting seeds and making connections. I want to begin with a variety of quotes. You know, when we began the series, I shared with you a favorite quote of mine from Barack Obama. It is the statement that he made in Tucson, Arizona in 2011 after that shooting. It was a statement he made in the memorial service. In the fleeting time we have on this earth, what matters is not wealth or status or power or fame, but rather how well we have loved. But rather how well we have loved. There are a couple of other quotes that I shared during the first service this morning that I want to share with you as well. This first one is from Marianne Williamson. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we have learned here. The spiritual journey, this journey that you and I are on, this spiritual journey, is the journey of unlearning fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. The unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. And then here's one from Rumi. Love is the bridge between you and everything. Think about that for a moment. Love is the bridge between you and everything. We could say of fear that fear is like a wall, whereas love is a bridge that connects us with everyone and with everything. And this one from Hafiz, I really, really like this. Awake, my dear, be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out into the vast fields of light and let it breathe. And let it breathe. Awake, my dear. Be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out into the vast fields of light and let it breathe. Love can be a scary thing for people. Letting love in, letting love out can be scary. And that quote from Hafiz about awakening our heart, taking it out into the beautiful light and letting it breathe, is an invitation that I hope we will take quite metaphorically, that we will awaken and take our heart out into the light and let it breathe. To do that, though, might require that we take a look at some of the things that stand in the way of doing that. Because for many of us, we have built walls around our heart. We have been hurt or we have been afraid, and so we have, to some extent, shut down. There are all sorts of experiences and all sorts of behaviors that we practice that shut that heart down. And today we want to take a look at keeping that heart open wide so that we can let love out to a greater extent than we have in the past, and so that we can let love in to a greater extent than we have in the past. I love technology, especially when it works. We had a little bit of a bump this morning at first service with some technology that I wanted to share with first service. Hopefully it's going to work a little bit better here at second service, but there's a piece that I want to be able to share with you. So give me just a second. I've got my little trusty iPad up here, and cross your fingers for me and pray that it's going to work better this time than it did at first service. No, it's not working. They told me that apples never have problems. All right. Terry, can you call customer service for me? Let's see if we can get him on the line. Got him? Yeah? Yeah?
Customer service, how can I help you?
Well, I got a bit of a problem. You see, I just turned on my computer to do this really amazing demonstration before a room full of people at the Unity Center. But I can't move forward because it says it wants to upgrade my system by installing a new software program called Limitless Life Operating Volume.exe.
Oh yes, the LLOVE program. We call it LOVE for short. It's getting good reviews from all our customers who've installed it.
Well, I'm sure it's a really good program, but I really would like to bypass this thing right now so I can get on with my presentation.
Well, I can help you bypass it if you want, but are you sure about that? Love is trying to find you. Maybe you ought to be willing to be found.
Well, you really put me on the spot standing up here in front of a group of spiritually minded people. Okay, I guess I am, as long as it won't take too long. What do I do first?
Okay, now the first step is to open your heart drive. Have you located your heart drive, ma'am?
Yes, I have, but there are several other programs running right now. Can I install this one while those are running?
Well, what programs are you currently running?
Well, let me see. What is it telling me? Oh, I have pasthurt.exe, lowselfesteem.exe, grudge run-on document, and resentment.endless text running right now.
Okay, now that's not going to be a problem. Love will gradually erase pasthurt.exe from your current operating system. Now, it might remain in your permanent memory, but it will no longer disrupt other programs. Love will also eventually overwrite lowselfesteem.exe with a module of its own that's called high self-esteem.exe. But now you have to completely turn off grudge.runOnDocument and resentment.endless.text. Those programs prevent love from being properly installed. Now, can you turn those off?
I don't know how to. Can you tell me?
Sure. Now go to your Start menu and click on forgiveness.exe. Do this as many times as necessary until grudge.runon.document and resentment.endless have been completely erased.
Okay, now I know what Jesus meant by forgive them 70 times 7. This is taking a really long time. Wow, okay, love has started installing itself automatically. Is that normal?
Yes, and you should receive a message that says it will reinstall for the life of your heart. Did you see that message?
Yeah, so does it mean now it's finally completely installed?
Yes, but remember, now that's only the base program. You need to be connecting to other hearts to be able to get the upgrades.
All right, but I've got an error message already. It says error 412, program not run on internal components. What does that mean?
Oh, don't worry, ma'am. That's a common problem. It means that the love program is set up to run on your external hard drives, but has not yet been run on your hard drive. It's one of those complicated programming things, but in non-technical terms, it means you have to write love into your own machine before you can transfer the program to others.
Okay, so now what do I have to do?
Okay, can you pull down a directory called self-acceptance?
Yep, I see it.
All right, now you're really getting good at this.
Thanks, you're a great teacher.
I appreciate that. Now click on the following files and then copy them into My Heart directory, forgiveself.doc,
Okay.
realize self-worth.text, and acknowledge brilliance.doc.
Okay.
The system will overwrite any conflicting files and begin patching any faulty programming. Also, you do need to delete verbose.annoying.self.critic.exe.
Okay.
And then empty your recycle bin afterwards to make sure it's completely gone and never comes back.
Okay, I got it. Hey, my heart's filling up with a whole bunch of new files. Smile.mpg's playing on my monitor right now, and it shows peace.exe and contentment.com copying themselves all over my heart. Is that normal?
Sometimes. For some people it takes a while, but eventually everything gets downloaded at the proper time. So love is installed and running. You should be able to handle it from here. But there is one more thing before I go.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, love is freeware. Be sure to give it and its various modules to everybody you meet. They will in turn share it with other people, and they will return some similarly cool modules back to you.
Well, thanks for your help. By the way, what's your name?
Oh, you can call me the divine cardiologist, also known as the great physician. Boat folks just call me God. You know, a lot of people think that all they need is an annual checkup to stay heart healthy. But the manufacturer, and that would be me, suggests a schedule of daily maintenance for maximum heart efficiency. To put it another way, keep in touch.
All right, will do. Thanks. Bye. I wish we could take credit and say that we created that and wrote that, but we did not. But we can certainly enjoy it together. And there's a lot of really cool wisdom in that piece, is it not? You know, in order really to increase our capacity to love, oftentimes it does mean that we've got to do some cleaning up work inside. You know, when Jesus talked about everyone will know that you are my followers by how well you love each other, he also gave us the instruction that we needed to practice forgiveness, that we were not to judge by appearances, that we were not to judge others, that we were to judge righteously or rightly. In other words, being able to discern the truth. And I think if he were alive today, he would be talking very much in the kinds of terms that we heard this morning in that little piece, of the need to let go of resentments, of the need to deal with our own feelings of lack of self-worth at times, or low self-esteem, that in order for us to really be able to love each other more authentically, more richly, more beautifully, we also have to be able to love and accept ourselves right where we are as we are. And so we're talking about how do we do that? How do we install love inside of our hearts in a richer and more profound way? The idea of letting love in can actually be scary for some people. If you grew up in a very unstable, emotionally unstable home life, or if you had a lot of challenge in relationships as a young adult, it's very easy as a result of that to become very, very shut down. But what happens then is when we are shut down, we're shut down in both directions. We're really shut down then from being able to give love, and we're likewise shut down from being able to receive love. I think one of the most important things we do on the spiritual path is to continue to grow both in wisdom and in our capacity to feel love, to share love, to experience it. And I think that there is always room for improvement for each and every one of us. I remember very vividly that when I came back from having traveled to India in 1999, and I saw the heartbreaking poverty and conditions of the people around me, particularly in Delhi, that though while I was there, I thought I was going there to be really empowered by and touched by the time I spent with my colleagues, with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. While that was a beautiful, beautiful experience, in a way it paled in comparison to what happened inside me, inside my heart, with the things that I had felt and I had seen while there, things that I'd never seen in real life here at home. And when I came back, I can remember sharing with John, my husband, and sharing with other people that the experience felt very much like somebody had cut my chest open, had taken my heart out of my chest, had rubbed it on asphalt, put it back in my chest, and said, now go back and try to live your life the way you had before. And I couldn't. And even though there was this sense of deep compassion and deep empathy and hurt that I felt, that there's this sense of separation and disparity in the human family, I made a promise that I was going to keep that heart as open and as empathetic and compassionate as I possibly could, that would probably be the very best way that I could honor the diversity of the human family and the diversity of the conditions that we still live in as a human family on this planet. And so this idea of each of us keeping our heart open is a really important idea, because it is an open heart that can be compassionate. It is an open heart that forgives. It is an open heart that moves past resentment. It is an open heart that is tolerant. It is an open heart that is understanding. I want to share with you just 4 things to remember, 4 ideas about love that can help you to keep that heart open wider and thereby experience the benefits of that open-hearted living. The first is the remembering that love cannot hurt. Love heals. Love cannot hurt. True love love does not hurt, it heals. So then when we feel hurt, where does the hurt come from? Oftentimes, the hurt comes as a result of attachment to things having to be a certain way, or unhealthy attachment in an enabling fashion toward another. But love, genuine love, does not hurt. Love heals. Love crawls into the lap, if you will, of another and says, let me feel what you are feeling. Let me feel your sadness. Let me feel your joy. Let me connect with you. As I say that, I'm reminded of a story that I heard Leah Buscaglia tell many years ago. It was a story about a little boy who lived next door to a very old man who had recently lost his wife of many years. And this man was very, very sad to have lost his wife. They'd been married a very long time. And the little boy looked out one day and saw the man sitting on his front porch looking extremely sad. And the little boy asked his mom, could I go over and visit with him? And she said, sure. And so he went over and he spent a long time with the older man. And when he came back, his mom wanted to know, well, what did you do? And he said, well, we didn't do anything. Well, what did you talk about? Well, we didn't talk. And she was really concerned, very confused. Well, you were there for a very long time. How did you spend the time? And he said, oh, Mommy, all I did was crawl up in his lap, sit with him and help him cry. I helped him cry. What is that? When we cry, it is the heart opening up to an experience, right? The experience of loss, perhaps, the experience of sadness. And out of that young, tender-hearted little boy, didn't need words, didn't need to do anything other than just really being there with that man in his lap, helping him to cry. So remembering that love, real love, doesn't hurt, it heals. Second, that love does not belittle. Love builds up. Love does not put somebody down. Love builds up. Love is empowering. Think about the healthy love that a parent has toward a child. We see in that child infinite potential and possibility, do we not? And everything about us looks out at that child through the eyes of hope, through the eyes of promise, through the eyes of that child can do and be anything it wants to be. And to the extent that we continue to hold that vision for that child, that love helps that child to become capable of things that perhaps they would have never thought of on their own. I have had a few occasions in my own life where a mentor has looked me squarely in the eye and has said to me, you may not believe this about yourself, or you may not believe that this is possible for you, but do you believe that I believe it is true for you? Do you believe that I believe that you are capable of this? And how powerful that belief is, how powerful that kind of love is that lifts us up, that recognizes that we are more than what we have done in the past, that we are more than our foibles or our shortcomings. It calls us up into our higher and better selves. A third point is recognizing that love does not bring separation, it brings connection. Love is about connecting. I'm reminded of a friend of mine who shared a story of some challenges that she was having with her mother as her mother was getting older and was experiencing some Alzheimer's and some dementia. Her mother's personality changed from a very mild and gentle and loving person to somebody quite different than that. And my friend talked about how difficult it was for her to spend time with her mother, to hear her mother go on and be angry at times, or very judgmental and critical at other times, or not make any sense at all. And that my friend said it was so hard to be able to be around her until one day this thought, this image came into my mind, that I needed to find a different way to connect with her, that maybe it wasn't so much about hearing, and it was more about a heart connection. And my friend proceeded to say that what came to her was that rather than just listening to her mom, that she would visualize whenever she was with her mom, that there was a bridge connecting her heart to her mother's heart, and that bridge was just covered with beautiful roses. And so she had this vision whenever her mother would act in a way or sound a negative and angry sort of way, that she didn't get hooked into the words or hooked into the critical energy, but instead was able to feel her own heart space, call up a vision that was inspiring to her, and see that connection heart to heart with her mother. And when she shared the story with me, she said, and the most powerful thing in that was when I began doing that, what I didn't realize was my mom only had a few more months left to live. And being able to shift from the way I had been with her into this new way of remembering that love connects. Love doesn't shut down. Love is always looking for a way to welcome, to connect, to make holy and sacred the relationship. And the fourth is the idea of being willing to be found, to be willing to let love find you, by releasing the requirement that it has to come in a certain way from a certain person at a certain time. I know so many people who are looking for that significant life partner, and they can be so fixated on looking in a very narrow way that they forget there's this beautiful balancing act that we need to do spiritually. It is that we want to be aware of what it is that we want, but at the same time, being open enough that we let God, we let the universe bring to us through a variety of channels and vehicles. In metaphysics, we call it praying for this or something better, this or something better, giving God, giving Spirit some room to work through us. And so in terms of letting love into our lives, it's really important to us to do the healing work that we so joyfully and humorously got in touch with that little skit, but to also realize that we need to keep our vision wide open, that the universe really is set up as a benevolent universe. It's really set up for us to experience love. But we've got to do our part. And our part is being open. Our part is doing the inner work that is ours to do. And to the extent that we do, we begin to find that all of our relationships are taken to a deeper and sweeter and more beautiful place. I want to close with some words from Starhawk in her book, Dreaming the Dark. These words speak to the idea, I think, of finding our place in relationship, of finding a sense of community and what that feels like. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throat. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us, eyes will light up as we enter, voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own sense of power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free. I believe that's what we together co-create each and every time we gather together on Sunday morning or in any other gathering at the Unity Center. We create for each other that kind of community where our words don't get stuck in our throat, where there are arms that are ready to welcome and to greet us, and where there are eyes to look out upon us and see in us and about us the truth and the potential that we sometimes miss in ourselves. Namaste.